They're recording. Okay, perfect. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this next office hours. So there's a couple of updates that we wanted to walk through today, and then as usual, just open it up to Q&A. But yeah, and if at any point you have any questions, feel free to stop me, of course. So the first thing I wanted to share was on the new app competition. So yesterday we set the May app competition live. And basically we want to see the most interesting UX, user experience, or UI, user interface. So if you have apps that make use of an interesting UX or UI, as you can see here, whether it's a clever use of an image as a button or an interesting way to transition between steps, I'm always kind of surprised at like how people creatively solve problems to make the apps work, as easily as possible for users. So, all you have to do is just take a screenshot of your app, brief description of, kind of what the thing you're sharing is, and you can win. It's a whole swag box this month, so there's a couple of things in there: picnic blanket, custom branded Tulip picnic blanket, T-shirt, and some stickers. So yeah, all you need to do to enter is just take a screenshot of the app, brief description, and then you'll be entered into the competition. Good. So then the next thing that we wanted to share was generating a QR code. So this was actually shared late last year, but I think quite a few folks weren't in the calls yet. So I just wanted to share it again because I think it is quite an interesting feature, and I can just basically show you how it works. So I can just type in something into a regular text input, click generate QR code. Boom. Yeah, and there it is. We get a QR code here in our app. Now, once this is in here, we can use it for whatever, if there's like people using cell phones for something else and want to scan a QR code to open a web page or whatever it is, you have access to the QR code here, which is really useful to kind of, do lots of things. You can hand off an app between two different things. It's really quite a neat feature. So the way this works is it's quite simple, but basically there's a connector. And the only reason why you need a connector is to build the URL and then return an image. So you can see here, you can come in here, say, okay, hello world, click text, boom, you can see we get the URL of the image, which is exactly what we're seeing here in the demo. Then from the app itself, you'll see that the button click only has a single action, which runs the connector function, runs this connector function here that we were taking a look at, passing in the input, which is the text input field in the app, into the input in the connector, which is here this data, which is why you're seeing data over here, and saving it as QR code. So it's a pretty neat way. You just put whatever information you want here, and the QR code is updated. Here I have on a button click, but it can be on anything else. And it's a pretty useful way to just quickly generate QR codes. Does anybody have any questions on this, or are folks already using QR codes in your apps?
No, but is there an easy way to like print from within Tulip? Like if I needed to make this QR code with some other info and print it out into a label?
Yep. Yeah. So there's two ways to print. Both of them are equally easy. Either you have a Zebra printer by any chance?
Yes, I do.
You do. Okay. So you can print from, and we just moved this actually. So
print using system dialog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the first one is print using system dialog. So if you just save this, now go back to the app, you'll see that Just in a second here. Did I put on the correct button? Let me see. I don't know what I'm doing incorrectly. Let's see if this one here works. So print steps, step one. That's strange. It must be a configuration of my computer. Am I on the right? But yeah, it's that one there. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's these two here. Print using system dialog. Then otherwise, if you want to print using Zebra, you can run device function, Zebra network printer, and then you can either print a barcode, custom ZPL. So if you have like a template, you know, and you can enter the address for the printer.
Okay, so I could set this up with my Zebra to have it just have a template and it just plug in all the info from here and print
Yeah,
label.
exactly.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
yeah, you can do both of those, which work well. Yeah, and especially if you have QR codes, it's good to use the print functionality. So cool. Thanks for that question. Yeah. So good. Then the other thing that I wanted to share is actually scanning QR codes using a camera. So you can see here in this support article how to scan barcodes and QR codes via your device's camera. It's quite simple, but basically all it is in here. I've added a widget for the optical barcode scanner, which connects to my camera, which I connect to my computer. You can toggle the types of codes, the types of barcode types that you want to scan. The more you select, it'll be a little bit slower. So, you know, if you know that you're only doing QR codes, I recommend deselecting everything and only selecting QR code. And then to actually trigger it, you know, you can come in here into the triggers for the step, and you can say, okay, when the device barcode scanner optical outputs at the station with barcode appeared, then we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to store the text that is being scanned and the format into some variables, and then we're just going to show the message. So I'll open up the demo here. Let me just turn my camera on. Okay, perfect. And then I have a QR code here on my cell phone that we can scan. Perfect. So say I have this QR code. I come in here, just need to focus. Well, there it is. Okay, perfect. So you can see that this QR code just had the Wikipedia URL and the format is QR code. So that's why we have this information here saved into the app variable. If I scan another QR code, this will just said hello and a smiley face. And you can see it's also a QR code type. So yesterday, you know, somebody was asking in another session of Office Hours in Spanish, somebody was asking an interesting question in which basically they wanted to open an app depending on what barcode was scanned. So you can easily do that by, you know, you can just come in here, app, complete app, and change to change the app by name. That's the one. And you know, you can have it here basically. And this what this is doing is, you know, if your QR codes have the app name contained within them, we'll just open up that that app. So this is a pretty neat way to kind of transition between all the apps that you have in your instance without having to go into the menu, select another app, type in the app name or whatever. This is just like a quick way to move between the various apps. Okay, do folks have any questions about this, by the way, or anything that I can clarify on how this this feature works? Okay, yeah, so yeah, I think it's pretty neat. You can do quite a lot of stuff with it, so I just wanted to share it because I think it's good to know. But at this point, we can open up to any questions Uh, is there anything specific that people have been building that you'd like to share, or anything that we can help out with?
Yeah, Gio, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
So I'm working with linked records between two tables. Could I share my screen?
Oh yeah, yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right, so these are the two records that are linked. So the trigger for this table is the link. So one, I'm wondering, is there another way to unlink them outside of, because see if I have this and this, I can't unlink. So if I could unlink a record just by selecting like on this table versus having to have both of them.
Yeah, so I think this should be possible. If you open up, you have the app open on Chrome and the app builder. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, basically you need to table records, unlink record. Okay, basically, yeah, if you remember all of this, now you can close this off here. So then if you select the actual table, you scroll down. Yeah, okay, here you already have a trigger. Oh, so this is linking it. So the way you could do it, yeah, I mean, you can have one or the other. You know, you can maybe create a step, but in the same way that you have link here, you can also have an unlink. If that makes sense.
Okay, so I guess it would have a condition, an if condition.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can do that as well. You can basically check if it's already linked, then unlink it. If not, then link it.
Yeah, so I was, on this column here, I only want to be able to link to, but I can link however many I want. So when it comes to so this, when I try and make a condition with linked records, I can get only this far, and then there's nothing that comes up.
Failed cases. Okay, and this table, I assume it's the one that you're showing there, so it does have a linked field.
Yes.
Huh. Has that drop down always been empty?
Yeah, yesterday I was working on it and I tried on both tables to make a condition using a linked field, and I wasn't able to. Because yeah, I just want to max this out at 2.
Oh, okay. So basically, this table here on the left can only have 2.
Yeah, 2 linked cases.
2 linked. I'm not sure how to troubleshoot, because this is strange that drop down doesn't have any additional information.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. What about if you tried in there, right? It doesn't populate.
Yeah. So this is the other table.
And it also doesn't populate.
Yeah.
Build name. Okay, so let's take a look at the other question, then I can start sharing my screen and seeing if it works from mine. And if it does, maybe I'll ask you to submit a support request, because that is definitely supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me see here. Yeah, it's also not populating for me. Yeah, I'll let me, take a note to look into this, because this is certainly supposed to be populating up there.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, we'll follow up. Either Kaylee or I will follow up later today.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Okay. Awesome. Does anybody else? Thanks for that, Jordan. Does anybody else have any questions on anything that you're building or things that you'd like to share?
I've got a question about some SQL stuff. You might
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
can I share my screen?
Yep.
Okay, let me find this thing real quick. Okay, I believe this is the right one. Everyone see this?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so simple enough. I'm pretty much just wanting to make the column names here look better. So I thought you could just do like the little, add the name here in parentheses on the side and it would spit out that instead, but it's giving me errors for some reason.
Can you try putting as in there?
As.
Yeah.
Just needs as.
Yeah.
And still coming back as null on these for some reason.
Do we also need, in the output section, do we need to define SKU as capital SKU?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Jen, for spotting that. It needs to match verbatim what you have here. So you see here how this is all, yeah. So if you put it lowercase, SKU.
Okay, so.
And so if I understand correctly, the only way for us to do that is to copy this connector and edit those outputs to be the more visual presentation that we want. Like item usage is a good example. We'd want it to be.
You just need to edit them down here in the outputs.
Yeah. Gio, am I right about that? That you can't change those outputs
Yeah, that's
any
correct.
other way?
Yeah. Sometimes it's a bit of a nuisance, but the reason you do that, because these outputs are used in an app, so you want to avoid the possibility of kind of breaking things downstream.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you save it, you can't modify the inputs or outputs.
Okay, so with this copied, I would literally just need to come down here.
Yep, exactly, and then put as uppercase SKU.
Okay.
Up there, and if you try it out, maybe just try it out with one, just make sure that it does work correctly.
Good idea.
Ryan, how did the multiple part types work for you yesterday? Have you tried that yet?
I haven't got super far into it, but the little demo you did give me is working perfect. So
Okay, cool.
That.
Okay, and then if you try putting as SKU, yep. Yeah, try that out, test it out. Oh yeah, perfect.
Okay, sweet.
Cool,
yeah. I won't fall.
Hey Ryan, can you, in the app you've been working on, can you go to one of the triggers? It could be even the trigger that happens when you scan.
Sure.
I'm going to call this a newbie question, but it keeps kind of tripping us up. So yeah, see what Ryan's pointing out right now kind of trips us up. We don't exactly understand what we're doing when we say pull the variable called active SKU and then save, well, actually the second part, oh gosh, my dog. Part type variable active part type and then save it as active part. What exactly is happening? It kind of feels redundant that we're calling it this and now we're going to call it that.
So yeah, it is, so kind of, you see these two elements, so SKU and part type, those two are are exactly what you see in the connector function as the inputs. So if you only had, like if you only wanted to call the skew in the connector function, you'd have to get rid of it in the input in the connector function. And then here the trigger, when you went to call the new version of this one, you'd only see skew, and then you would be able to save the result as.
And so when we're saving the result as active part, I think what we're doing is we're saying, for right now, for this instance, our active part is XYZ. And the next time we use this app, that's going to change to it could change to something different, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's, well, anytime that you run the connector function in this app, this will change. If you give it a different skew.
Okay, so it's like it's almost like that active part is a placeholder for the variable.
It's almost like a queue that you're pushing information to. So every time you run it, you'll push new information into the active part. But if you wanted to maybe like save one active part, you could always do a data manipulation step and then save that output, like the current output while it's there. It's almost like while something is loaded into, you've chosen the naming convention to have active in all of these, but it's while something is loaded into the active, it's reachable. But if you were to load something else into that connector function, it's no longer reachable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just seems, it's just like head scratching every time we do it, but this is helpful to kind of talk through what's happening in the background.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that would be helpful if you can navigate to the variables real quick, Ryan.
On that again.
Yeah. So here.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it! Hold on. Zoom. Come on. There we go.
Yeah. So here, if you go to app and then variables, exactly. So then the other thing is that the active part, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see it's actually an array of all these things. So it's not just like it is just a part, but it's an array of a whole bunch of parts. I think this is another important thing to bear in mind. So this is set this way because the connector function, when it outputs, it stores all this information in an object like this.
Very helpful.
Yeah. It's sometimes I've actually seen in the past users build kind of like like a flow diagram where you have like, okay, this is like what's coming into my connector function, these are the inputs, and then these are the outputs, and that's really helpful as well to kind of map it out and see it visually what's happening when you run a connector function.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, were you able to figure out, Jen, what we were speaking about in the office hours last week?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
I helped with that a bit.
Yeah, awesome. Good to hear. Okay,
yes,
cool.
So I'll just add that Ryan's made really great progress. Kaylee's been helping, and we've got this kind of pressure of a deadline because we're going to demo this app to our leadership team on Monday.
Next Monday.
So, yeah,
Okay.
we're excited about that.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's is everything ready to go, or do you still have to add a couple?
It could use some polish, but it's definitely functional.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Once you had the polish, it'd be good if you could submit it also after you show it to your leadership team to the competition, because I think it looks pretty good. I've seen this app a couple of times, and it would be good to. And I think you already won a competition, right, Ryan?
I got some clocks a few months ago.
Yeah. If you want a Tulip picnic blanket, I think this app has a good chance of winning.
Oh man, we're going for that.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Are there any other questions that folks on the call had? Things that we can help with?
One thing, Has anyone looked at Stack Overflow? Like when you have a SQL question or something like that, that's my go-to place. Stack Overflow, just, put the question in there and it usually pops up with something.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jay. It's typically the first one that shows up on Google, actually. But yeah,
Google's a good place just to, it's just like, it would be, how would you, change the name on a SQL statement?
yeah,
It'd probably come up Stack Overflow probably right away.
yeah, right. So for folks that aren't familiar, Stack Overflow is kind of like it's like a forum where you can submit questions on anything about programming. So, if you have a question about JavaScript, whatever it is, you can post it on there, and then there's users that will go in and respond and give really good answers. So like Jay was mentioning, also for SQL, it's really good. There's lots of information, lots of other people that have had similar questions that have been answered by other users. Yeah, what have you been using the SQL connectors for something specific, Jay?
No, I haven't. No, I'm just starting out. I'm trying to get Ballistics as my first customer, so I'm working on that right now. So
Okay, awesome. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for sharing. It's really good advice. Yeah. Cool. Does anybody else on the call have any questions or things that you'd like to share that we can help out with?
I had a question. I was going to put it into. Oh, hi everybody! It's Chris from Clear Process Solutions. By the way, this is awesome.
Hey,
Everybody's still showing up. And hello, Gio. Hello, Kaylee. Thank you for your patience as always with me in the background.
No. Thank you for sharing. For always giving great feedback.
Our pleasure.
I guess my question is on the input on the. I'm sorry, on the. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, on the inputs, on the checkbox, do you know if you guys are going to add a trigger function to that when you actually click it?
Yeah. So yeah, here, let me share my screen so folks can see what it's being discussed. So, and also I can confirm. So you're saying here, if we were to have an input here, you want to add a trigger to this?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is actually requested pretty frequently internally to Tulip, just by app builders, people who are building the library and whatnot. I think I know there already is a feature request open for it.
Mhm.
I don't know the status of it or when it's going to make it into the product, but it's it's certainly in the pipeline. Kind of the same way. Whereas before, you could only tie it to an app variable. Now we added Tulip table record. Down here, one day we'll have kind of the same way that if you have an interactive table, you can have a trigger on it. The same thing is going to come up on the checkbox, and also hopefully on the other input types.
Okay, yeah, because we we were developing a solution, and Kaylee knows in the background. That's why I said thank you for your patience, because I was bringing it up. Currently, for the short term, we figured a workaround where we took a snippet of the checkbox checked and unchecked, or the toggle switched on and off. Oh, I know the other question. The color variables tied to the checkbox. It only works with part of the toggle color variable. So if you change the color on that, or if you change the color on the checkbox, you don't have the background and the foreground, I guess, for being able to hide it if you don't want it being shown.
Oh, okay.
It still shows part of it unless your background matches the color.
Wait, will you say that again? I didn't follow. Gio, could you show it?
Yeah. So say here and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, just go ahead and change the color right now.
Yep. Okay. So let me just get this started. There's all this Zoom stuff. Okay, I'll just. Okay, let me just add a trigger here. Okay, I'll switch it between, say, orange and whatever is gray. Oh. What did I do wrong? Let me try it
Did
from
you
here.
assign the variables to the checkbox?
What's that, sorry?
Did you assign the variable to the checkbox?
Yeah, I did, but you shouldn't have to anyways, but oh, let me just create a variable. Oh, you know, I know why I'm running the published version. Let me update this so I can run it from the player.
I don't know if you can change it with I think you can only statically change it. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, no, you could tie, well, that's just it. That's why I want to know if there's a trigger function. Like if they're talking about trigger functioning, because there isn't a trigger with the toggle or the checkbox. So you can't really, unless you click a button somewhere else. Like if you're using a variable to adjust the color.
I am okay.
Would we go back to the app for a second?
Yeah.
Will you click on the checkbox? Yeah, right. It says color variable, weird. Oh, will you go to the variables real quick? Modal. Will you just change that there to not be the color itself, the default? Will you just change that to be something like arbitrary? You pick anything, yeah. Now we try to run it.
There we go.
It's my least favorite bug in the world is that if that color variable is transparent, it won't work. You have to give it something to go off of.
Oh, yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah.
So Chris, are you using is it a toggle or like a checkbox?
Well, either or, because they're interactive, and you have to press a secondary button instead of just that button. Does that make sense? You have to click a button in order to have that. It can toggle on its own. Like if you click the toggle right there. Oh, and it's working. Okay. Now,
Well, this is always gray, no matter what.
That's always gray.
Yeah, when it's switched to off.
Oh, you can't make it like you can't make that red, and then when you toggle it, it turns green.
Well, yeah, actually, you can. I mean, you know, you could like basically say like set the
So if to know, then green.
yeah, exactly, something like that, or even, you know, if you just make it green, whatever. This is kind of a strange green, but like this, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, my only other question is that say you've got variables coming up, are variables from a previous page load, and you don't want to show that toggle at all because that's not a function that you want your operators to engage in. If you try and make that clear, it still shows part of the toggle switch. Because you can see the white button part of the toggle switch.
Yeah.
So even if you make it clear,
it's not glamorous, but one approach could be to have two steps that are identical and like to route to those identical steps, one including the toggle switches and one not, depending on like another variable that you already have happening. It's not glamorous, but it could work.
Oh yeah, no, we found a workaround where we just ended up taking snippets and loading them into a table and using a clear button for a trigger. So we took a picture, we took 3 pictures, just the background, a red button, a red toggle, and a green toggle to hide. That's what I was asking about yesterday. But it was just interesting to see if we can get a trigger function added to that. And I guess the other question is, I know it might not be in the pipeline. Is there a thing possibly for development where if under an if conditional, you can just hide something on the page?
So you can, have you ever tried doing it, adding it on a timer? So basically whenever timer fires every 30 seconds.
Yeah, the pinch is that with the 30 seconds, you have to wait for the 30 seconds for it to show up. Like, and I know that the 1 second isn't stable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when the page open, like if it was a page open, I guess interacting with other buttons on that page, it's a like, it's not a need. It would just be, it would be nice if we could have a hide function.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally agree that that would be ideal, but
It's a
I
like.
think the only solid workaround instead of doing the hide function would just to be have identical views, one including what you what you don't want to hide and one that you do want to hide.
Yeah.
Which it seems like you already kind of took that road.
Yeah, we just did it. We just worked around with it. We just made a button clear and then just we embedded the table record.
Yeah.
I have been able to, I guess, kind of use a hide type functionality with giving a button a variable color, and then like if selected, the color turns to the transparent. Like if you, the second bar, if you slide it all the way to the left.
Okay.
So that's your if condition. So if selected, the color is transparent and then is not visible.
Yep, and that's where it comes into like the difference between buttons and toggles, because a button you can do that. If you the transparent for the toggle, it for whatever reason it just looks funky. And if it's just slowly but surely working. That's all. I poked the bear enough. I'll shush.
No, it's really good. Yeah, I think adding the trigger on the toggle would be, and in fact also for just like text and other types of inputs would be really useful.
Are you just trying to hide the button?
Well, just having trigger functionality also inside of that, of like when you toggle that on, I guess the inputs, I guess my question would be, the text one doesn't make sense to not have a secondary button, the same with the number, but I agree with Gio that the checkbox, the single select, multi-select, and date picker all make sense to have trigger functions built in, or like have a trigger option if you want, I should say. So when you toggle that from false to true, you can have other actions take place. So to make the toggle more like a button, to where you can add on like if toggle to true, then it'll take you to this page, or when button or when toggle is activate, when toggle is switched, then I will try that transparency trick though. Thank you very much. Who actually said that? I didn't have my list expanded.
Oh, that was me, Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
So I don't understand. What does a toggle do if it doesn't have a trigger?
It holds a variable value.
Yeah, it's a variable. You can tie it to a variable and then store Boolean yes or no in a variable, or directly link to a table record.
Okay.
So if you're completing like a checklist, like a QA checklist, and you've run your pressure test and you don't have any sensors hooked up to it, you can toggle that for complete and it'll update to the table that it was complete. And then you can do another test underneath that for a toggle or checkbox value.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll definitely add a note in the internal feature request, Chris. But also, if you could add a community post, I think it's always good when the engineer.
I'm getting ready to.
Oh, okay, perfect, awesome. Yeah, hopefully it's another funny story like the one you did the other time.
Oh, the wizards and bunnies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've moved. We're in the springtime now. We're into Alice in Wonderland, so it'll be a Mad Hatter route.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm where in community, I guess, do you guys show the videos from these sessions? Because I missed the Onshape one and I'm kicking myself thoroughly.
Oh, yeah, it's here. If you go to community, and then I think that was that last week or the week
Yep.
before? Yeah. So if you go over here to the office hours tag, you'll
Okay.
see it, and yeah.
Yeah, that's I when I saw it, I was like, oh no, I was on site doing an implementation. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
sure I knew exactly where that was at.
Yeah, you'll see it here. Do you use Onshape? Because
Yes, I
you
do
do, okay.
personally.
Personally, okay. Yeah, and actually I should mention this. So actually a post will be going live on community either today or tomorrow from the library team, where basically we're kind of, where we want to build connectors similar to the Onshape one to whatever systems you guys want. We'll continue building the ones. We have like a backlog of ones that we want to build, but we want to prioritize the ones that are most useful for you. So if, for example, if somebody wants an Epicor one that you guys want to add it to the library, you can either send me an email. You see it here. I can add it, but basically it's just if you have a connector, any connector that you'd like built to a system that has an API that we can connect to, send me an email and we can prioritize that to have it added to the library.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are there actually connectors that you guys would be interested in kind of prioritizing, or like, because it is kind of always does take some time to go through the API documentation, understanding how the authentication works, all these things. Do you guys already have systems in mind that would be useful to connect to?
Agile Point NX is one of the big ones that comes to mind.
Which one, sir?
Agile Point NX.
Okay, what is it? What kind of?
It's a forms and workflow automation. It's kind of like WindShuttle.
Oh, okay.
And WindShuttle would be the other one.
Okay.
That would be WindShuttle Evolve.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll share these forward with Sagar from the library team.
Cool.
Yeah, and maybe if it's okay with you, I ask him to reach out so you can get more information on what specific endpoints, like what functions.
Yeah. Have him feel free. We'll be more than happy to collaborate.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Okay, cool. Any other questions or things that want to take a look at together or go over together?
When is your guys' next release cycle supposed to be?
I believe 206 is scheduled for Sunday for production.
Got any cool previews you can share with the team, with the office hours crew?
Well, not quite yet. So you see here, that's why earlier the buttons weren't working. You see how in my instance I have the release 206 lined up. So I'm going to be adding to this in the next couple of days, because actually I haven't spent that much time with it. But yeah, actually, Chris, oh yeah, I don't think you had joined yet, but I was sharing at the start that we're gonna be changing up a little bit how we do office hours, probably. Where basically like this office hours will be just like open Q&A, like open conversation. If you're stuck on anything, we can help out. And then we'll have like webinars, basically like with each factory release and each library release, sharing the updates. I'll be sharing a link to that, but it's going to be next Tuesday, the one for 206.
Awesome.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's not going to be the trigger on the toggle switch just yet. In one of the next ones, I've seen the list. There's no trigger on the toggle switch, but hopefully soon.
Do you know if there's been any movement on adding video embedment variables? Or not video? What was my Wizard and Bunnies story about?
No, I think it was CAD as variables, right?
Oh, yeah, CAD as a variable drop down in tables?
Yeah, no, not yet. Not in 206 either. Actually,
206 is very performance improvement and bug improvement oriented, in sense of like no true new shiny features.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely focused on like overall performance improvement.
That's cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, not glamorous, but cool.
No, I like the bug background stuff because I tend to accidentally break things a lot. It's always better for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was the CAD model, making a CAD model one of the drop downs and tables that you can pick.
Yeah. Yeah, like Kaylee mentioned, 206 is mostly, yeah, kind of making things like streamlining, like eliminating some bugs, making things a little bit more reliable. So we're gonna start adding, yeah, in the future releases we'll have, it'll be like the prior ones, more feature heavy. Okay, awesome. Any other questions or things that folks want to share?
No, thank you, Gio.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, as always, great feedback, great inputs. I have a couple of things that I'll follow up with folks individually on, but thank you all for joining, and we'll see everybody next week.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Have a great day, you guys.
All
Hi,
right,
everyone.
bye bye.